Yes. Yes. All right. Hello. Welcome to season 2, episode 25 of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with pumpkin carvers, sculptors, and multi-talented artists. We ask that you please give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on. Let us know in the comments where you're watching us from. And if you have any questions for the carvers and our special guest. Let's meet the carvers. First, he's an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. He's a 2019 champion of Food Network's Outrageous Pumpkins, Paul Dever.
Oh.
Paul, I'm here. No need to worry. I made it.
And also shot a 39 today, right before an ice storm. So very impressive.
Yes, it's hard to shoot in those elements, especially when you're indoors.
Easier when you're indoors. Easier.
No. Harder.
Harder.
Don't F up the story, Matt. Don't mess up.
Next, he's a multimedia sculpture artist from Tucson, Arizona, and a finalist on Halloween Wars 2019 on the Food Network, Matt Harper.
Happy Thursday, everyone.
Happy Thursday to you as well.
You
Is there any ice storms
week.
coming your way? No?
What's that, Mickey?
Is there any ice storms coming your way?
No, but it was 27 degrees in Arizona this morning. So
really?
It got cold, actually, and then it got up to like 60. So anyway, we're back to normal.
Matt has a hard time keeping ice in his freezer.
Our guest tonight is a digital modeler and a traditional sculptor working in the film industry. She lives and works north of the border, but joining us this week from south of the border, please welcome the very talented Mariana Gorbea. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you here this week.
Another international.
Yes, an international flair. Is this our first person from Mexico?
I believe it is.
I think so. We're hitting all the
our Uno guest.
Yes.
Spanish, proper Spanish. Good job.
My name is Michael Mondragon. I'll be running the show, moderating comments, and chiming in from time to time. Let's check in on our carves from last week. Guys, you guys did great, but I already know you guys are going to totally give yourself. No, okay, let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's just get it over.
Oh, I hate it.
So all right. So the topic was drunk guest choice, which was Tim Clark took gross. So it was drunk and gross. So you went with Boglins, which was one of your inspirations, Paul. But this is fantastic.
Yeah, yuck.
Oh, come on.
Listen, if you ever see me have to put a prop in like a bog light, you know I've given up on the carving. Well, what the problem was is I was liking it for a while, and then we're looking at it the right side, but to me, on the carving was the left side. It was all rotted, so I couldn't do anything with it. Every time I moved material, it was falling apart. So pumpkin carvers and anybody that sculpts with subtractive knows you reach the end. And it was way too early to reach the end, so I kind of had to adapt the whole thing, and then whatever. It's like I'm making excuses. They can't all be home runs, kids. I tried my best. I put arms on it. I made it a boglin. I mean, Google a boglin. It's a drunk boglin. Tim didn't put up drunk boglin. I'm just not happy with it. But I did my best. Whatever, right?
I think you did phenomenal. So
I'll rebound.
I was telling Matt, I don't think you're allowed to even judge anymore. Just create it and then just leave it and then let everybody else decide.
All right, I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. If I ever say I like something, kick me off the show.
There we go.
You can never fully like something that you do because there's always room for improvement. This one, holy moly, there's a lot of room for improvement. A lot of room for improvement on whoever grew that kaboka because it was rotted on one side completely.
There you go.
That's what I'll blame the farmer.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is tremendous as well.
I think this is great too. I love the teeth. I love the expression and everything.
No, I hated it from the beginning, and I think one of the things that I was struggling with was I was trying to, because Tim Clark originated the Boglins, right? These
Right.
really cool little guys. And I wanted to kind of channel that, but then when you have a really long one, it just wasn't working. So I kind of made this hillbilly that's throwing up and drooling or something. And anyway, it just didn't, never like meshed for me. But anyway, there he is.
But I'll tell you what, right? You said it right off the bat. You made a gross hillbilly. In the first, I laughed because when I saw it, I'm like, wow, that's funny. That's the whole point of the wheel, right? Like to see where we go with the same subject. And I saw it and I'm like, he made a gross hillbilly. I knew what it was. I'm like, that's awesome. Like the way you went was so cool.
Yeah.
Like I went the obvious route, right? Tim Clark, I went with the Boglin. You went with a hillbilly. I don't know where you got that from, but it was genius. It was
all right. I'll take the design kudos, but nothing else. Mariana, this is the hard part of the wheel. You're going to get to know the wheel in a minute, but the hardest part of the wheel is it forces you to do stuff that you're like, oh crap. And like sometimes it comes out great, sometimes not so great. So we'll move along, right, Mickey?
Yes. Well, and also like I'll move past. I've had a hellacious week too, so I have nothing to offer. Yeah, exactly. So Paul will give me crap, and then but I may come back with a double. I may come back with a double cannon next week. So
nice.
So watch out for
Mick, insert jokes from me there with the double.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I expect wrath in the chat as well. I'll take it.
No.
It's been a hellacious week, and I will reflect that in my artwork next week.
I like it.
But Mariana, I'd like to introduce you to the fourth member of Carvers and Creators responsible for choosing our carving subject tonight.
Okay.
It is the hollow wheel, the center spinner, and Paul is going to tell us more about it right now.
Happy Thursday, everybody. It's good to be here with you. I hope everyone's having a great week. My carving sucked last week. I'm sorry. The wheel, the center spinner, the reason why we do what we do, or the reason why we have stress all week, really, based on these two spins. So what we're going to do is going to spin it twice. First time around is going to be what the subject is. The second time around is going to be the emotion. I'll run you through real quick. So on the wheel, currently we have Puppet, Karen, Plump, Nerdy, Psychopathic, Parasite, Guest Choice, Amphibian, Primate, and Villain. And for the second spin, the emotion of which we have to kind of make it happen. Sulking and sad. Who did that? Is that me? Sulking, sad, bored, irritated, elated, grizzled, stoned, euphoric, confused, and repulsive.
Sulking and sad can be different. We're okay there.
Yeah, well, I'm repulsed and confused as to how sulking and sad got that close together, and I didn't even realize it. You know, everybody thinks it's easy. There's a lot of stress involved with putting these themes on in a short time frame. But I digress. Oh, digress. Is that an emotion?
Yeah, it's the newest one. Let's have a digress villain.
Like we haven't done villain enough. Okay, let's do this. This is a big spin. I'm going for like the $1 on Price is Right.
Yeah. No whammies. No whammies.
Primate.
Ooh.
Ooh, as I would say.
Wow, we have not gotten Primate. That's awesome.
No. Well, you can't say that again.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, euphoric. Damn euphoric. We got a happy ass primate. Euphoric primate. That's a good one, though.
Yeah, it is a really good one.
That opens a lot of doors and probably means the death of me.
So I've
Whenever
committed it to the chat. It shall be.
Wow. Okay, so a happy primate. A happy
euphoric. Which is like beyond happy, really. I mean,
super happy.
Okay. There we go. Wow. So I'm going to show. So euphoric, right? I think I spelled that correctly.
No, you did. I think you spelled it better than I did on the wheel. Mine is just euphoric. There's no numbers in the way you spelled it.
All right. So if you're carving with us, if you're creating with us, we're going to give you 5 minutes. We're going to go around the horn right here. We usually, this is where we talk about what our carving oil is for this week, what our liquid motivator. That's another
Liquid
good
motivator. That's an album title.
Yes.
The dragon strikes again.
Exactly. So what's gonna fuel our creations tonight? I'm gonna start with Mariana. What did you have anything that you're going to have tonight?
Oh,
yes.
Oh.
Salud.
Salud.
Delicious. Modelo's delicious.
When in Rome, right? Drink a
Yeah.
Modelo. That's awesome. Okay.
Nice. Matt, what do you got?
I have a Leinenkugels, which is not a local brewery, apparently.
Oh, I love the Kugel.
But it's a toasted Bach. Refreshing taste. Something like that. All right. That's what it is. And mine is aluminum can.
Well, FLOZ.
Well, FLOZ. Yeah.
Well done,
So,
sir.
toasted Bach. We'll see what that tastes like in a minute.
Nice. Paulie, what do you got?
Okay, so throughout the month of January, I've been lying to everyone and myself. I took the month off just as he did. Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
And I didn't do much drinking. All right, sober month.
Make up for it.
Yeah, no, I bought tons of beer during it. I was waiting for February.
Okay.
So I have from Bentwater Brewing in Lynn, City of Sin. You never come out the way you went in. Lynn, Massachusetts. The Double Thunder Funk.
Oh.
Oh my God.
That
is a cool can.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Bentwater's
awesome.
been around for a while.
Wow.
And,
That is
Is
awesome.
it IPA, double IPA?
Yeah. I probably won't finish the show.
Oh, good.
It's been a while. It was canned on my birthday, November 22nd. So I'm sure it's pretty old by now. It's been a while, but I don't even know what it is. But it's a double, so I'm assuming 8 or 9. They don't make it very clear, so let's just assume it's an aluminum can, like Matt said, and it will be finished by the end of the show.
16.7 FLOZ.
Please tell me you didn't just Google that, because I'm not drinking that. That's like funneling hate.
I think that's the size of your can as well. There you go.
Oh, hey, come on, man. I'm trying to
Hey.
I'm slimming my can down. All right, Mickey, what you got?
All right. So my beer tonight is from a favorite here in LA. They have amazing artwork. So mine is the Sour Cherry Punch Out.
Nice.
And if you see here, it has a bit of the Apollo Creed.
A little Apollo Creed action.
Yeah. And a little bit of the Punch Out video game. So I think that's what it's inspired.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Is that Bald Bull or who is that?
Yeah, it could be Bald
Glass
Bull.
Joe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Glass Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 50-year-old Glass Joe, not like 20-year-old Glass Joe.
And I don't know who that is. I'm sure it's supposed to be someone.
Yeah.
What?
That's cool. You guys got the good artwork on Kansas this time.
Is that B.A. Baracus or Club of Lang?
It might be. It probably is like a little bit B.A. Baracus. There you go.
That's a cool can, man.
Yeah. So cheers,
everybody.
Cheers,
Mariana. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's while the guys start getting on the carves, I wanted to start out with Mariana. Tell us more about what you do, your day to day. I know you work digitally, but you also work with clay and other sculpture. So tell us a little bit more about how you started and how you got to be where you're at now.
Hi. Well, what I do now is I'm a modeler in a visual effects company that's called Scanline VFX, and I do visual effects for movies. But I started as a graphic designer here in Mexico. And then I decided that after I left college, like the last semester, I decided that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do 3D, and I discovered sculpting. So I quit my job and decided to learn how to do it. And then I built a portfolio and I sent it all over the world. And then I got a job in Vancouver. And that's long story short, that's what happened.
Wow.
Well, kids, that's all it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You're from Mexico originally?
Yeah, Mexico City.
Mexico City. Okay, where you are now. Okay. All right.
What makes somebody move to Vancouver from Mexico? Did you just say I hate warmth?
No, it's just
the job.
That was for the job was like I just
Really?
wanted to sculpt, and in Mexico, like the studios are a bit smaller than the ones in Canada, so you kind of have to do everything: animation, modeling, texturing, and all of that. And I just wanted to do modeling and sculpting, and I had to go to a bigger studio that only offered that specific job.
Right.
So you're like an enigma to me in the best way possible, where I automatically assume that you were a sculptor first, right? So a 3D sculptor, like you have knowledge in how anatomy works and just how the planes work, but you actually started on a computer, which to this computer, it doesn't compute. That's a lot of computer. I can't believe that you actually started on the digital format and could bring it out into the 3D format with your hands. I'm so impressed with it. Honestly, I'm blown away that you did the opposite of how it usually happens, right? So a sculptor usually says, I want to get into digital sculpting because I can do so much more. Whereas you did it the opposite, and you can still do pieces like this without having that experience. I don't know if it gives me hope or if it makes me want to quit.
Well, it was cheaper to learn digitally, so that's why.
See, I think the opposite, because a little bit of clay, like Play-Doh, or you know what I mean, a block of clay, and to get into something like ZBrush, which is very expensive at the front, right, to own it. But I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Like, I have so many questions as to how that works, but I can't even vocalize them right now because there's so much I want to ask at once. Like, you could do this in ZBrush, I'm assuming, in half the time, right?
Yeah.
But you can still achieve it in clay at such a high level. I mean, you have a Cthulhu, and then you have what's more of, I would consider, like the Pixar style of, you know, like almost the Finding Nemo of octopus, and you do them so well. And I'm such a fan of octopuses in both the digital and like the 3D clay sculpting world. Honestly, I think I'm depressed, but I'm also inspired. I can't even get over it. It's such a weird thing for me. Everything I look at sometimes I can't even tell if you digitally did it or if you sculpted it, which is like the ultimate. You're proficient at both, and it's awesome. It makes me want to go buy ZBrush, but then I gotta get a model for a squash in ZBrush, and then there's that whole thing. So I just rather interview people that are really good at it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, because I didn't have I thought like real sculpting was so much harder, and I thought digital sculpting would be easier to learn. And a lot of people complain that ZBrush is not very intuitive and they have a hard time learning it, but I loved it. And once I knew how, understood 3D form, that gave me the confidence to want to learn how to do it in clay.
So now, how did you learn ZBrush to that? Did you go to art school? Are you literally self-taught in this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, get into politics.
Internet taught me everything. I know.
You could teach yourself anything. Get into cryptocurrency. You'd probably be great at that. Yeah. I mean, apparently you can do whatever you want. How does somebody learn?
Honestly,
on their own?
It's just all the knowledge. Well, a lot of it is online and for free.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I learned how to change my oil online, but I mean, this is like a whole new level. Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just practice, I think.
But that's not true. I practiced golf for the last 20 years, and I'm happy to.
But also, there is
you can't teach.
Does ZBrush help you? Go ahead, Nikki. I'm sorry. We're all asking questions at the same time. Sorry. Go ahead.
I know it's fascinating because, first of all, you have to have a computer that can render ZBrush. So I
Right.
mean, that's not cheap. The ZBrush itself is not cheap. So like, how did you just go, I'm just going to allot this amount of money into learning this, or was yeah. Okay. So you just figured it out. It was just an investment.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I kind of call BS on that too, because I've spent thousands of dollars on golf clubs and I'm terrible.
Yeah,
She's way better at this than I am at anything in my life. On both sides of the coin.
So I got a
digitally
question.
And real. And how do you even call the real world anymore?
Does ZBrush, just for you, since you're so proficient at ZBrush and that's your job, does that help you in the world of 3D clay sculpting? I mean, do you do mock-ups of the things you want to sculpt first in ZBrush?
No, because I mean, I kind of have an idea of what how it works now. Like learning ZBrush taught me how to break forms into their basic shapes.
Okay.
And then build on top of that. So I kind of, after knowing that it's from ZBrush, I kind of know now how to do it in clay without actually having to do a mock-up or something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I mean, I guess because I'll admit this, when it comes to like trying to get, sometimes if I'm trying to get, and I haven't done it in a long time, but if I'm looking for a specific face or emotion or expression, if I can find it in ZBrush and they show the different sides, like the different form, then when I sculpt it, I can see like the angles and try to get it better done that way. So so I can see how that would help you, but if you're not using it for the ones you're doing in clay, but it's helping you because you kind of know the blocking. I get that. It's just, to Paul's point, I'm still trying to piece it all together. It's like, how do you go from digital, never doing it with your hands, to doing it with your hands and having such proficiency? It's wild.
It's awesome. I mean, and cheers to you. I mean, it's really unbelievable how you could translate that fast. It just, to me, says you already had the skill. Like growing up, say growing up in grade school and just coming up as a child, obviously you were the best kid with Play-Doh, right?
Maybe.
Without even trying, right? Or like the best kid in class, like if somebody had an art project, they'd go to Mariana, she'll do it for you, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was, and it's but never to that extent. Nobody ever said, "Ask Paul, he'll do it for you in ZBrush." Mostly because I don't think they weren't computers when I was in grade school. But
that's true.
But just, I mean, we could talk about this portion of it for a million years, but it's like we need 7 episodes with you just to figure out how you're so good at both sides of the coin. It's insane. It's
practice, really. Like I honestly don't think it takes that much talent. It's just like the discipline to spend many hours working on it. On the
practice. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. What's the ratio? What did they say? It's 50,000
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. Yeah.
Oh, I was going for 50,000. Oh, good. So I'm closer than I thought I was.
Yeah.
That's good. Woo! Set the bar high.
Yeah.
But so even like in a lot of Cthulhu, I love the fact there's a lot of tentacles in your work. Like that's pretty cool. It's like George Sudoku. Am I saying that? Sudoku?
Yeah, that's not right. But
Zakuzudis. Yeah. George Zakuzudis. He'll kill me if I get it wrong, but he knows I will.
I think it's
it's
that. Mickey knows it.
Well, working with tentacles and stuff is almost like 3 levels above what a lot of sculpture is, because you're going for the mountaintop, like tentacles and the way they wrap around each other and everything. It's like that picture right there, the white one, that was amazing.
That was like a snowstorm. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was like an ice storm.
But one thing that I love about a lot of the pieces you make in clay and also in ZBrush is the movement you get out of them. And when you just look at his tentacles, like you can see that it's rubbery. You can see that it should be like hanging there. Like it's beautiful in that you know it takes your mind that it's not clay. You know, you see the barnacles on his hat, and you're like, oh, okay, right. That's, you know, I think that's a magical part of like any sculpting, is just when it can like not be what, you know, it's made out of, when it looks so fluid, and so the movement part is awesome. So big fan of that.
That's kind of what I was trying to say. I just can't say it. I literally, I'm getting like, I'm having brain farts looking at it just because I'm so amazed.
You're verklempt. He's all verklempt.
I'm verklempt.
It's funny you say that, because I think my sculptures in general lack movement. And like when you see like sculptures like from Simon Lee, and so dynamic and just they're amazing. So I kind of want to start to add a bit more movement.
You know what's funny is he is amazing, right? Yeah. But he's on such a small scale compared to what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like on a small scale, movement is different. When you have more medium to work with, it takes a lot more to get that movement, right? There's a lot of stuff you have to move around and get into the right place. Certainly not taking a thing away from him. And that he's amazing. But his skill is, I mean, which is impressive in itself with the size of what he's doing. But what you're able to achieve it's crazy. I mean, I think I've been following you for a long time, and it's like I almost have to get away from looking at your stuff, because I'm like, I can't do that. I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and I just can't. But I guess it's because I'm carving a butternut squash, I guess, or a pumpkin.
No, Paul, honestly, like I discovered your Instagram last year, actually, and like carving the way you guys carve, I don't know if I could do that.
I'm pretty sure you could.
I've seen a pumpkin. You've carved a pumpkin or two. I've seen a couple of pumpkins on your stuff.
Oh, so. No, but I mean, it's nothing compared. It's a completely different thing than what I'm used to doing. It's
come on.
Because I really have to pay attention, and sometimes when I'm sculpting, I'm just not really paying attention. It doesn't matter, because you can just keep adding material and you can revert or whatever. And when you're carving, like if you mess up, you mess up.
Yeah, but we, like in the beginning of the show, we already addressed that problem. It's called carving oil.
Yeah, just keep drinking.
Just need a little oil.
It's true.
No, I mean, I honestly think by seeing your stuff and talking to you and stuff, there's nothing in a creative realm that you can't conquer.
Totally.
Honestly.
I mean, if you're doing it 3D and 2D, that's you know, you've already kind of gotten the mountaintop. But I got a question about like what you do for normal work, because I know you work for the studio when you're not sculpting, right? Do you primarily deal in ZBrush? Is that where you're like bread and butter?
It's mostly Maya. It's mostly modeling in Maya and a bit of ZBrush. It's called sculpting in ZBrush. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. And then what's an assignment you'll get from the? I mean, I know you can't talk about like actual projects, but is it like they say they want a character and it has to be like this, or they give you like mock-ups or like 2D drawings of it, and then you have to create it in 3 dimensions or something? Is that what?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It can be a character, it can be an environment, vehicles, buildings, anything that you can imagine being 3D. I've done all of it. I specialize in rocks. I've done a lot of rocks in my time. For some reason, that's been the task for different movies. But yeah, characters, they tell me, sometimes they tell you, they give you concepts, reference, photogrammetry, photos from the set, and you use all of that just to model in 3D.
Oh, okay.
So it's like spinning the wheel.
Yeah.
You just get handed something. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know what the beauty is? ZBrush doesn't have rot spots. ZBrush is although it might just crash on you, right? And you hope you saved your progress. Probably not on your computer. I know my computer shuts down on me
too.
But I think I know why Mariana actually works in Vancouver, is I belong to a motion graphics group here in Los Angeles, and I would say about like 6 or 7 years ago, like all of the work moved to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like all of the motion graphics and a lot of the motion picture stuff, everything kind of scattered away from Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
Vancouver was a big hotspot for that. So I'm sure that you picked up on that and got into there. How long ago was that?
Ooh, I mean, I moved to Vancouver almost 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
All the major
Good amount of
studios
time.
were already there.
Oh, they're already there. Wow. Okay. So this is already. I'm so behind the. I knew movies being shot there, but I guess that makes sense that all of those kind of the FX studios would be there too, right? And
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was,
Wow,
it was a big deal. It was a big transition I remember at the time. So it was probably like 10 years ago. It was exactly when all that went down. You're right.
Yeah.
Bernstein's hammering me in the chat.
What's happening?
Is that how I say it? Am I saying it right?
Who's that?
Bernstein?
Oh, Bronson. That's my
Bronson.
friend, Mr. Excitement, Ed Brown. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he loves you. He's a New York guy, so he's gonna give you a hard time.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, he's really hammering me.
I didn't even see the thing. How's he hammering you?
Oh, I just
no, in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. So he's
Oh, that's good, Paul.
And it's not Pal, it's Paul. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has love for you. Yeah.
I
He's
love
all
you too,
good.
man.
I went
Just
to
so we're clear, right? Seriously, guys, we're the Pilgrims land, all right? All these accents, you guys just dropped it. We held on to it. This is like the OG, the bad guy accent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul, for holding on to it.
Hey,
But
Paul.
listen, I'm trying to let it go. It won't go away.
I went to Fenway Park in I think it was 2010 with my friend Ed Brown, who wore a Yankees T-shirt with the sleeves cut off. So that tells you he's.
It actually makes me like him even more. That's even better. Like
He's very
you're one of us.
Very
One of us. I'll bet he spent more time wondering which bar you were going to hit after the game than he did actually doing the box score. I know I do.
Ed Brown, we went to Peter Luger in Steakhouse in New York City in Brooklyn, and as we were walking back to the train, he got a slice. So there you go.
Boy.
After Peter Luger.
Well, if we ever hit a game at Fenway, we'll take a long walk over to Little Stevie's. It's the best pizza after a game.
There you go.
Then you wonder how you're getting home because the train stopped running.
So, all right. So
look at that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is astounding.
That's ZBrush, right?
You look better in ZBrush.
Yeah, well, ZBrush. I mean, but just did you have armature wire inside of that sculpt to hold up the clay? Is that monster clay?
Yes, that's monster clay hard.
Wow.
Yeah, the armature, it's a skull I bought during Halloween at those dollar stores.
Oh yeah.
I use that as base, and then I just that's it. Really.
That's nuts. Now,
So,
can I go ahead, Matt?
I was just gonna ask: is this design and everything just kind of top of your head? Just you had an idea and this is where it went, or was it something you were trying to do for a client, or what was this?
No, it was just this is a character from a video game. And
oh, is it? Okay.
I use it as inspiration. Yeah.
Oh.
So amazing. Like how long does something like this take?
Thank you. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think like 8 hours.
Unbelievable.
That's
One
great.
day. Wow, that is nuts.
That would be 8 hours for me over like 4 months. and then what would happen is I'd go back after that 4 months and go, you know what? I see it different now. And then I just have to break it apart and do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Like I got to lock in.
Yeah, that happens with everything I make. More
everything, right?
Yeah, it's
I
I'm the
have
same way.
it's funny, right? So I have this zombie sculpture that I've had for probably 3 or 4 years now, and I liked it. It was cool enough that I made it out of monster clay, and you know, monster clay gets firm, and it's almost just like a plastic thing. And I'm like, I'll get to it again. And then after we've had other guests on, like Mike Effects and a couple other guys, have just kind of needled me to be like, you need to start molding stuff. Do you ever mold things?
No, but I've started to learn because I want to learn mold and cast.
Mold and cast, yeah.
Because I keep melting them.
Oh, really? You melt them back down? That must be tough. Do you have a 3D scanner that you can get into ZBrush?
No.
That's your next investment.
Yeah.
I got one. I have one coming. I can't wait to like do a review of it because I'm gonna 3D scan my giant dome. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna put it in ZBrush on a squash, and I want to see how it lines up. That's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna cast it. See, I'm gonna do all these things. I have huge plans.
Oh, all the best laid plans, you know. But what's great about doing it with your own face is I'd want to get in there and mess with it in ZBrush and just make it into this most grotesque. I mean, not that it's real pretty now, but I want to make it awful.
Insert joke here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I just want to see how accurate these things are. Like, because because everybody always tells us to scan, not scan, sorry, but like slush cast our carvings, and to do that right after you do it, like last week's choice, I would be like, am I wasting $40 of silicone on something that I don't like, or do I really want to do this? What you forget is these things emit gas. It's an actual vegetable that's rotting, so air is coming in, air is going out. So when I did try to do it the one time, I got an air bubble on the side of it because as it was setting up, it's decaying and it's releasing gas.
Oh.
Nobody ever told me that. Clay doesn't release gas. So I think there was that kind of whole thing. So, but I'm going to figure it out. I am going to cast the crap out of everything. And then in 2022, there's going to be so much stuff you can get from me. It's going to be ridiculous. And 9 out of 10 things are going to be Matt Harper skull. I'm going to scan a skull and I'm going to sell Harper skulls.
I still honestly want to go get a CT scan of my head. And then Gabriel Venus, who was on our show, who's an amazing sculptor. And if you haven't seen we have 2 episodes with him. So he's like, you see him sculpt, like, wait, this is not happening out of a human hand, but really, really good. So Mariana, somebody you might want to check out. But he has a scan of his own skull, and so he's made a 3D print of his own skull. And I've like for years wanted that. I work in like the medical field, so I'm like, oh God, wouldn't that be great just to stare at your own skull every day while you're on a conference call? I don't know why. But I honestly want. But then, like you talked about having that Halloween skull and then building off of that, wouldn't it be fun to like build some monster off your own skull? Just kind of let's make another one. Let's make another. Just anyway,
it's true.
That's up here. Eventually, I'll get there someday.
Well, that you would be infusing yourself into every project you made if you did that.
That'd be great.
That'd be so fun. So fun.
A Harper skull. That's what we'll call it. We'll just call it the Harper skull.
The Harper skull. Harper.
There you go, E. Burns. And there's your Boston accent for you.
There is a question. How many hours practicing a day do you average?
Well, when I started to learn, it was ZBrush. It was when I quit my job, I went crazy and would sculpt for like 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Nowadays, I would say 1. I spend 1, and over the weekends maybe like 4 or 5. Wow. But
throughout the whole weekend,
it was all day. Like every 3 hour I had, it was just to practice.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, but that's how you're supposed to do it, right? You're supposed to dive in and figure it out, and then you know everything, so then you can kind of pull back off the gas, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, oh man, I'm getting ZBrush. I'm doing.
And how many hours? How many hours?
But I'm going to spend like 10 minutes a day on it. I'm going to see how long it takes me in 10 minutes a day.
Yeah, you'll get it when you're like 95. You'll have it all figured out.
Oh yeah, by the time I retire, I'll be able to still not be able to use it.
Make a circle. Yeah. When you're doing work at your studio and you're doing it, and are you doing like a typical? I know everything's kind of online and you're at home and stuff like that lately, but are you doing projects like throughout the whole day, or do you kind of? It's always interesting to me because like I have an actual day job and stuff, and so it's like conference calls and all this other nonsense. I'm assuming and imagining in my head you're doing some kind of like, one project to another, handing that one in. It's a certain amount of hours go into each one. Are you spending the full day like sitting at the camera? I mean, at the computer working on stuff?
For my work?
Yeah, work.
Yeah, it's just 8 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
the
rest is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because is it hard? I guess one of the biggest things Paul and I talk about sometimes, and even Mickey, we talk about like how if you're doing something you love, like the sculpting you do, to just do that only and do only that, the hurdles to get to where you can make that your living are pretty high. But you have to do a lot of things to get there, right? But the passion you have to put into that kind of work, like you talked about at the beginning, like you were just like 12 hours a day sculpting. Do you find you lose passion in the 3D sculpting stuff on the like the ZBrush stuff? Like it's just kind of a job drudgery, or is it kind of like still exciting because it's art?
I think I haven't lost any amount of passion for it. I still love it. But one of the reasons why I started clay sculpting is because I knew that you for my job, like I'm modeling somebody else's ideas and it's somebody else's projects. So you have to kind of detach yourself from it. So in case it gets cut from the movie or we make so many changes and you don't die inside as an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
So I still love it, absolutely, but I still have that other side of the clay sculpting that keeps me, that I can do whatever I want. That keeps me like loving it as much as I do.
Right. Do you? Okay, sorry, Paul. You were gonna ask a question. I heard your voice.
No, that was actually like I was amazed. Sorry, that was more of a gurgle.
Oh, I love that guy.
Taken aback by it. No, well, what I was gonna say is the fact that I've been thrust into this area too, where you got to do what the client wants. And sometimes that's not what you want to do. Do you ever think that you would start, say, something like casting? When we were talking about casting earlier, is your goal to be completely independent? Because it seems like you could have your own line of sculpts that you could sell the casts, in people that are more in line with the painting of it would just line up to be able to paint something like this and bring it to, the spectrum of color, because, everything you do is awesome because it has that one gradient shade, that the 3D depth, like sort of like what me and Matt do, right? So there's no color to it. It's just shadows and depth. Like you really get the whole picture just on one thing, whereas some things need color. Your sculptures don't need color, which is just another level of it. Like you're taken aback just by the sculpt itself and the shadow. Do you ever see yourself just producing a line of stuff that can be painted?
I think so. I started thinking about it just recently. I started watching like some tutorials of people painting the sculptures, and that looked amazing. And I actually bought I bought a block of Super Sculpey, and I don't know if you can see it here, but I started that I'm gonna bake and eventually paint.
Okay, that's mine, by the way. I call it now. You tell me what it's going to cost, and I own it. Matt, I beat you to the punch.
No dibs. Yeah,
I called dibs. That's fine. Mariana, it's mine.
I'll send you the first one.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, but I do want to to do that. Just I'm so used to monster clay, but I was going to take a course of molding and casting, but right before the pandemic started, and so I just put it off. But I do want to learn how to do that.
See, it's funny. That's it. You say the same thing about the pandemic, and I think, well, this show started from the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Because well, yeah, sure. I was doing an Instagram live carving, and Matt. Oh, how did it work, Matt? Oh, I was watching Matt's, and a little thing popped up on my phone that said, if you want to continue or if you want to join the feed, click this button. So I thought that meant it was going to kick me out so I couldn't watch Matt carve. So I hit the button, but it meant I was going to be thrown into his live feed. I was in bed trying to put myself to sleep watching Matt carve. He's so
I was stunned.
He's such a soothing man. And all of a sudden I popped up on the screen. So I had to jump up, and we had such a great time, and we got to talking during this live feed. Here we are tonight. And now the four of us sit here because of COVID. Thank you, COVID.
Yeah.
Probably the first time anybody's ever thanked COVID.
Yeah. What a great thing you did.
Right. But so now we've had so many guests on, and some of these guests talk about the molding and the sculpting. I've now started to do the same thing. Like, I watch a ton of videos on how to mold things, and it seems so easy.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you have, there's a little voice in my head that's like, something's missing. Do you need that degasser? You know, that
I know.
you need that. There's all these little variables. I'm like, did they leave that out? Because am I going to waste like $100 worth of material right now?
Yes, you are.
Which I have.
Me too.
It's just crazy that, you know, it's like you want to believe and you want to learn, and then there's this small part of you that almost thinks you're smarter than them because you're like, there's something missing here. Like, something's not going to go right. I know a little bit more, and it always goes back to me for that degasser, that pressure pot thing that you always see them having that takes the bubbles out. Because I have like 7 or 8 molds, and they have awesome air bubbles. Every single one of them, which I hate, and that's what stopped me from doing it. But I just got new material, and I'm gonna cast some more stuff, and be damned if it's wrong. I'm doing it again.
That's the spirit.
Yeah,
it's called stupidity, Mariana.
Those pressure pots and stuff like that, you can get into some big money there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, I was impressed that you modeled that octopus so fast as well. You know, we didn't even see you doing it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, right off camera. That's perfect.
Her hands
but I heard that you are very fast from a sculpting perspective. And when you talked about the number of hours you did with that really ornate helmet or hair, or I guess that's the video game character, that would have taken me, like Paul said, like, 11 months, 8 hours total, but 11 months through. But did you learn to sculpt fast because you can sculpt really quickly in ZBrush? Did it come? I guess you wouldn't know any difference, right? Because this is just kind of how you learned, right?
Yeah, but I think so. I think I became more, let's say, efficient in ZBrush, and that helped me speed up my sculpting process, even though there's different things.
Completely different.
But also, I think it's the clay. I've tried different clays, and monster clay is the one that I find super easy and super fast to work with.
I agree with it. I've tried a bunch, like Chavants and stuff like that. That monster clay, if you get it to the right consistency, the right temperature, holy moly!
Yeah,
but it's still, you know what? I don't know. You are literally an alien because there's no way you can do what you do in actual 3D sculpture coming from a 2D world. It's crazy. It's so impressive. I'm going to say it. How much time we got left? I'm going to keep saying it. It's
you got to stop at some point. You got to stop at some point.
No. You know what? I'll tell you what. When the show's over, I'm going to email her. I'm going to say, that's amazing. It's unbelievable that you can go from digital to you say 3D, but I think of it in a different way. It's just like hands-on, like to go from a mouse and visual perception to just being like boom, 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 is a completely different world. And Mickey, I could see you nodding your head, but because you're a graphic artist. And the first time that you ever had to dig into a squash and do subtractive carving, you said it was like a bigger task than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. And it was like, because it like 2D to 3D, because you have to turn it, and it has the perception of it is like, no, this doesn't make sense. And so like if I show this, like, and by the way, Mariana, let me tell you this. In doing the research for the show and going through your Instagram, like we could do about like 10 to 15 shows just on your work alone.
Just
got a lot. You got a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
So like when I look at something like this, the level of detail, but the perspective and how just every angle of this is so impressive. So on a project like this, is it like how did you come to this size? Like, was it just like your comfortability, or did you have a predetermined destination for this, or how did that come about?
It's because of those skulls that I told you that I got at the dollar store.
Okay.
They fit in there really well. Okay.
Yeah, because I making armatures, it's the worst thing for me.
I agree.
About sculpting, it's the most boring and tedious part of it. So I got some skulls, and then I put them on a piece of styrofoam, and that's what determined the size.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, like the level of detail in this, like you could have stopped at the level of detail at one point, but obviously you pass that threshold. So like how do you determine like when it's done? I mean, we all determine, I mean, that we have this kind of credo, like we all abandon our art at some point, but like, how do you come to that abandonment point?
Yeah, I don't know when did I say it was done? I chose this character because the one from the show is super detailed, and especially because it had all those wrinkles. Yeah, but I don't know. Like sometimes I just feel like it's done. Sometimes I just give up and start over. Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes I see it after weeks, and I said, like I feel like it's unfinished. I don't know. It really depends on the sculpture.
Wow.
I got a random question for you. So I'm a father of 3 girls. All 3 of them are artistic in their own way, and they're fantastic in some ways. Anyway, they're all fantastic. F that. So the fact that you're female in this very male-dominated world related in sculpture, have you found it kind of easy, hard, refreshing? I mean, I look at you and don't even think gender at all, but I'm assuming in some places people would say, oh yeah, her or whatever. But again, I'll caveat this with, I'm in awe of your art, but I'm in awe of so many female creators and artists that is just like mind-boggling. Have you ever encountered something like that where there was like kind of a bias?
To be honest, it's never made a difference. I haven't felt any sort of bias by my gender at all, whatsoever in all of these 10 years that I've been in the industry.
Awesome.
Personally, I've never experienced that.
Okay. Well, so the world's progressing nicely then. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
I mean, like when you look at this level of work, like who cares like what gender it comes from, right? It's like it's not even an issue.
It's beautiful.
Oh, so amazing. So amazing.
Mariana, do you rake your tools? Do you know what I mean by raking the tools? Like on one side of the tool, you put some teeth.
Oh, right. No.
No.
I did it for the pumpkin that I carved this last October, but before that, I had never done it. No.
Really?
Yeah.
It's astounding how much detail you're getting.
But when you have rakes in for your clay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but for sculpting itself, I don't really use them that much.
Wait, let me go back to I'm gonna go back to your pumpkin sculpture right here. I understand, but like you can see like there is a bit of the raking, like the scoring of the tool that's in there. You can actually see that in there.
But that in a sculpture like that, it actually plays into it. It actually helps the sculpt, you know, to drag lines.
Is she doing that singularly?
Yeah.
And not like a rake. So you're going individually.
Yeah.
And doing.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah. See, she's even good at that.
I know, that's even crazier.
Mariana, you're awesome. It's just amazing. It's I'm jealous. I you know, someday I hope to be as good as you.
So you're not in your home studio. You're not in your home studio right now. So are you able to sculpt and do anything in clay, or are you primarily just kind of drawn to your ZBrush stuff right now?
I'm more prone to clay at the moment.
Okay.
Almost all of it right now, because I want to do the molding and casting and all of that. I'm kind of not, because I'm in the computer, like doing ZBrush or Maya for work, and I kind of lately I don't want to do it as in my free time anymore.
Right. Yeah. You do it all day. You don't want to do it when you get home. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great character.
They're all great.
And the textures on the hat and everything else is just, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. These busts could sell very well, Mariana. If you were selling them,
my only problem is I need to do some research about shipping, because monster clay, if it gets warm, it melts.
But that's where the casting. You cast
it and put it in plastic, and you're set.
And then we call up our buddy Tim Gore, who's like the craziest painter out there, and then you can see what that thing looks like through somebody else's mind. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I'm just an idiot and I can't express myself. But like, to have your stuff put out there, like, you know, monotone and, you know, one solid color with shadow, and then have somebody actually look at it and say, this is what I see. And then somebody else, this is what I see. That's what I think's insane. Like, you know, like this could be 100 different characters. It'll never not be your character, but 100 different people could have a different interpretation of the color scheme, what they see as far as like what the character is. And that's what I see in a lot of your work is it's so cool, and so many people would interpret it in so many different ways. Like even your ZBrush stuff, you could put those out there, right? As I don't know, an NFT. Like I'm an idiot. Like how do you put but something that's not editable from the sculpture side, but editable from the color and the whatever the word is, scheme. I'm not very good with words. I know what you mean.
And I do have a few like 3D prints out there, but yeah, I want to do more.
But think about it, like especially one of the octopuses.
Yeah.
Like when you end up giving me that octopus, like when we settle up our financial obligations, I will paint it, and you will see what my vision is for that octopus. Like it may be different than yours.
But I also see when you talk about NFTs, like this is a project that I think that Mariana could do very well with. It's this one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, I mean, I never looked at the Mexican flag in this way until I saw this. I'm like, this is what a fantastic interpretation of this. I never looked at it in this depth.
That's great.
And you know what? How dare you, Mariana, talk about you don't have movement in your sculptures? How dare you?
This is
Look at that
beautiful.
snake. Are you kidding?
Talking about that one in particular.
That one's got something.
That's nuts.
It's crazy. It's so good.
See, this is one of those things. Is this ZBrush or is this sculpt?
ZBrush. Yeah.
Thank God. That was the sculpt I quit.
Yeah, but you know,
it's still insane.
But printing that, and what I'm finding is that there's like ability for people to take the ZBrush format and print it in stone or wood, or like with all the cutting things you can do now, let alone the plastics, and put them into 3D printing. But this thing would be I mean, can you imagine that like in a bronze statue in front of somebody's house, you know, or in a big foyer or something? It'd be just like epic. So
yeah, thank you. But it started. I wanted to do it in clay, but I thought the armature was going to be just insane, so I moved it into 3D.
I think you're right. The armature would have been a nightmare for that.
Yeah, no.
it can be figured out.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like what I just said, I still couldn't figure out if it was clay or it was ZBrush.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that's screwing with my mind. I can't tell anymore. It's to that point. Like I don't know which is which. You're toying with my emotions, Mariana.
But there's not a Mexican out there, including myself, that wouldn't love to have this and embrace their Mexican heritage. So that's the types of things that you have to think about when you're making these NFTs or these things that people would invest in. I mean, like this is you know, their heritage. So it's fantastic. It's really great. When I saw this, I was astounded. I'm like, I never looked at this. I've seen this my whole life and never looked at it in this depth. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, Mariana, from your end, because you're more of a on the technical side of stuff, how hard is that to export to a 3D printed format? Something like that. Can you actually do that? Like export from ZBrush to a 3D format?
Yeah.
Yes,
so you could literally print that?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to send you a printer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have to see that like it's thick enough, but yeah, it can be.
And imagine, like, I remember watching Foam Fab, our buddy, do like a lot of 3D printed stuff recently, and he's got a really awesome resin printer, and when it forms like upside down with these legs, like a bridge would have, you know, like to get it all, and then you just kind of clip those off. So I imagine this would have a lot of that, right? Because all the structure and form, but regardless, it's once it's all cleaned up, it'd be just, you know, beautiful. So
yeah, and I printed one in resin, and they did keep all the details.
Oh, you had this one painted in resin. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful.
I am a slacker. Right.
Well, Paul, you got a camera coming. It'll all.
I feel like on top of the show, after we have great guests on, I need a therapy session to talk me off the ledge.
Yeah.
The talent is insane. I don't get it.
No, Paul, you gotta give me some tips for carving, because that's not my strong suit.
All right, so for every tip I give you, you have to give me 100 tips on ZBrush. That's a deal. Because I don't have that many tips. I'm just carving away like the monkey that we're supposed to carve tonight, the primate. I'm a monkey. I'm just diving into a thing. You're a true artist. Like you can do, again, it goes back to how do you go from one to the other? It's usually 3D artist into this. All right, I'm sorry. I'm like on repeat with it. But it's so amazing to me. Like I'm literally, this is so I am literally just learning to use Adobe After Effects, right? Which is okay, not that hard to learn.
Yeah.
But I'm jumping the shark because I've never actually owned Adobe Illustrator.
Oh yeah.
So, but I'm hoping it's trickle down effect, like I can go backwards and slide down the mountain to these other programs. And she's mastered ZBrush to the point where she can just sculpt.
Yeah.
Like amazingly.
But it took years. It's not like from one day to the next. It took years to.
Yeah, whatever. That's still. It's like being a professional football player, and then you're the best table tennis player in the world a couple years later because you tried it and you practiced it. Nobody should be that good at two things in the same thing. I don't know. My mind's blown. Sorry.
But think about it. Using your football analogy, there's offense, there's defense, there's special teams, there's coaching, there's strength and conditioning.
That's what I mean. It's like if Tom Brady was the best safety in the second half of his career. What? I didn't even know Tom Brady could run, and then all of a sudden he's like the best at that.
But remember, like using Illustrator, After Effects is a animated Photoshop, but you can integrate Illustrator, which is more a vector-based program, into it. Now, vectors actually go more into what Mariana is doing, because you're trying to like shape things and everything. It's using all these shapes. So pixels actually is probably not what she's using. So it's kind of wrapping your head around like the right tool, the right program for the right job. I know.
I get it. No,
your
I
head's
get it.
exploding.
No, it's not. Matt, Primate.
Yes.
Primate was the best choice for the carve tonight. I'm like,
Yeah. You're a total monkey.
I'm a monkey. Unbelievable. God.
All right, so I got a question for you. As you were growing up, like did you grow up in Mexico City?
Yeah.
In Mexico City. Okay. Was there any like, and I live in Arizona, so I'm not too. I guess I'm an hour and a half away from the Mexican border, so I'm not too far away. But when it comes to like finding art supplies, and I mean, you're in one of the biggest cities in the world. I'm assuming it's no issue with finding out all that stuff. Were you an artist as a young kid too? Like, did you draw, sculpt? Did you gravitate towards that, or was it just kind of later in life?
Yeah, I drew since I can remember, and I painted for a bit, but it was mostly drawing. That's what brought me to graphic design. But I was inclined towards the arts, but sculpting just came after like I left college. Really.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So
yeah, but no problem. Yeah, we have.
Did your parents kind of help you? Loaded question, because my parents were kind of like, hey, don't forget, you got to get a good job and do, versus like this art hobby you think you want. Did your parents help support you in
I was really lucky because they did support me when I quit my job, and I tried to explain to my mom like what I wanted to do, but like she didn't really get what I wanted to do, but she saw that I just would spend like 12 hours in the computer, and she saw that I was doing something.
Passionate,
she didn't know what, but she saw me working towards something.
Yeah, got it.
So in that sense, she didn't tell me that like just go get a job and just figure out what you want to do in your spare time. So in that way, yeah, she did support me quite a bit.
That's great.
That is great.
That's a big help.
What made you make the jump from? I mean, you knew you could paint, you knew you could draw. What made you want to go to computer?
I think it's when I discovered that you could get have a living as a digital sculptor, and it was mostly used in movies and video games.
Right. Okay.
And those two things clicked for me. That's when I decided that's what I wanted to do.
Sure, that almost ties into what Matt, like you were saying, like it becomes a viable job when you realize you can make money off it. Because my whole thing growing up was the same thing. Is I don't know who said it to me, but somebody said it and it stuck as a child, which was, "Oh, you're an artist. Artists don't make money. There's no job in art."
Right.
Yep.
So my art was always sarcastic until 2 years ago. Until I found Matt on Instagram.
Thank you.
Or I actually did the Food Network show. But other than that, it was literally just around the house. I was the guy that could do stuff. I can also juggle. I can walk on my hands, and I can light fires. Like, that was my other talents. None of which made me money, but I was great around the campfire.
That's right.
Yes. But to know, like, to be proficient at anything, really, in any trade, and to see the opportunity that's in front of you is pretty cool. To know that if you got into digital sculpting, it would lead to work, and it would also get you closer to movies.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. That's like living the dream, right? So
totally.
I mean, kudos to you for that.
So I know a lot of our fans and people who follow us love not only movies but video games as well. Is there stuff we can find that you've kind of had a hand in movies and video games that we would be keep an eye out for?
Yeah,
That you can talk about. Put it that way. That you can talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I have an IMDb page, but I've worked in some projects like Game of Thrones and.
What is it called? I never heard of that. What is it called again?
Game of something. Yeah, it's a little show on HB something. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I'm just doing a bunch of superhero movies.
Okay.
A lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah, after you said like a little thing like Game of Thrones, I'm pretty sure we never heard of any of the other ones either. Like, come on now, time to humble brag. Bring it on.
Anything that rhymes with Darvel or
yeah. Okay. Aquaman, Batman vs Superman, Captain Marvel, Black Panther.
Wow.
The new Batman that's coming up. Justice League.
Oh, nice.
Just a bunch of them.
That's awesome.
Ant-Man.
Wow. Do you get any gratification or satisfaction out of doing that work? I mean, it's like you're a piece in the among the whole thing, but do you feel like that was my character, that was my building, that was my rock?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all my rocks. Yeah. It's exciting to see your name in the credits.
I bet.
But it's a lot of work to have a movie done.
Yep.
And all that work just pay off. The payoff it's worth all the work.
Okay. Follow-up question. Can I be your apprentice?
I told you can teach me carving and I'll teach you everything you want to know, Zebra.
Wow.
Oh, all right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Paul will actually know Zebra.
All I have to do is teach her how to carve produce, and she will get me in movies. That's basically right.
Well, I tried last year. I have so much more respect for it because it's so hard. It's not easy.
Well,
it's funny. If
you feel any better, every time I try to fire up ZBrush, my computer spits smoke and turns off.
Yeah, but it's funny though, Mariana. Like I'm humbled by that what you just said, because a lot of times we'll get amazing artists like you on, and we'll get amazing 3D sculpting artists, not ZBrush and sculpting like you, but clay. But and they'll say, man, I've tried that and it is so tough. It's like you're having to turn your brain backwards because it's all subtractive and at the same time I'm like, it's this weird, like I'm not going to accept that when somebody says that's hard, because I look at what you guys do and on the additive sculpture, and I'm like, yeah, no, I have to have something already there to sculpt from. I think maybe to your point, like you talked about like having the skull. Maybe that would actually help me to have a skull there first, because like having like nothing and then getting a tinfoil ball and adding. I have trouble with that. But if there's something already there, that might help.
You can also get those heads, those styrofoam heads that they sell at Michael's.
Oh, Michael's, yeah.
And just start from there, maybe.
That's a good point too. Yeah. Okay.
I got a block head. Does that help?
Not yours.
Oh, damn it!
But then you have the styrofoam head, but it doesn't give you this.
Right. That's right. Wait a minute. Is that see? Here I go again. Come on, Charlie Brown. Is this clay or ZBrush? I can't tell.
ZBrush.
Yeah, that's
Jeez Louise. But you give it clay texture in ZBrush.
Yeah.
Not fair to do. That's not fair to screw with someone's psyche like that. I honestly think this program has gone too far. Because it's got clay finish.
Yeah, who are we gonna call? We gotta call somebody about that.
That's it. I gotta report you. I'm sorry, Mariana. It's just too good. I don't get it.
But a lot has to do with the lighting and the texture and how it accepts the light and everything. So there's
when you look at her portfolio on Instagram, the lighting you choose, the photographs are as good as the sculpts in a lot of ways, because you're taking the time to get them lit right. Especially your 3D, your clay pieces. it's certainly ZBrush. You can manipulate it any way you want from a lighting perspective, but you're a very good photographer when it comes to your work.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize that you can just completely kill a sculpture if the lighting is not right. If you see the first ones that I posted, the very first ones, there's no lighting. There's like one source of light. It's daytime. It's just I learned that throughout the years.
I love how you talk about the years. It's only, you said 10 years, right?
Yeah.
You're like just beginning.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine what you're going to come up with in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so much.
I wish I could have started sooner.
10 years ago, I was 3/4 into my career.
You know what? I curse myself every day that I didn't start carving squash at 9. So many years missed out on this opportunity.
But in fairness, it wasn't seen as a skill. Now it's seen as like a super skill.
Yeah.
Right.
But also like you mentioned, carving didn't really come to you, or sculpting didn't come to you till after college. So, you know, it was, thank goodness you got exposed to it, you know, and you can start then, right? You know.
Yeah, but she went to college for microbiology, so she's also a microbiologist. Like,
perfect. How long have you guys been carving?
11 minutes.
No. Interestingly, Paul, she's got a loaded great question. I think we've both been carving pumpkins like this for 8-9 years.
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately. And the ones you saw that were 8 or 9 years ago don't exist on our page anymore because they're so, you know, we thought they were cool at the beginning, but then here we are, right? You know, you progress. But yeah, it's about 8 or 9 years, yeah.
But if you compare it to what you're talking about, dedication, and what Mariana said about like 12 hours a day until I got it, that's 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's
because up until then, I did it once I had children. Once my son was born and Halloween came around, I wanted the coolest pumpkin on the block just because it's fun to get the kids excited. And I like art. And so I would carve a pumpkin. And because I saw Ray Villafane and, you know, there were like inspirations out there, I would do that because it was something to do artistically because I didn't have an artistic outlet. I knew I had a little bit of talent, but what are you going to do? You got a job, you got a wife, you got kids, you know. I had golf. That was my
music.
Hobby.
Music.
How many hobbies can a guy have? But how you got pumpkins.
Mariana, Paul is a drummer in a band, and there's another artistic outlet as well. And that was the only thing that kind of kept me sane for a while. I played music in a band, and if I didn't have that, I think I don't know, go postal, whatever that still means. But I don't think I'd be myself, you know, without
go Amazon
artistic. Yeah, exactly. Without some artistic outlet. So maybe Paul, music helped at least stabilize you.
Well, I think a lot of my hobbies throughout the years were what, you know, that just keep you grounded and keep you sane. You need something to do. You need an outlet. But I never could focus on anything. I didn't know I was even good at it until somebody had told me I was online. Social media is what told me I was okay with it. I had a friend that's, you know, she said, you should post your stuff out there more. And then it just so happened that year some show was coming to Boston that had to do with pumpkins. And she sent them a photo of mine, like forwarded to them. And that's how it started. Like that guy called me and was like, do you want to carve live? And I'm like, is that a thing? Do people carve pumpkins in front of other people? Like usually you just put it on your porch. And so that's what started it. So I never had zero expectations for any of this. I didn't even know there were other pumpkin carvers other than Ray Villafane and the handful of people I would see on that one TV show. Yeah. So I didn't even know this was a thing. But then you get into it and you realize how much you like it. Then you meet a couple people, then blah, blah, blah. And then you realize it's subtractive carving and it's not a chainsaw. Yeah. I love every one of my digits. I don't want to lose any of them. So chainsaw carving was out. And it's cold enough here during the year. I didn't want to get into ice carving. You know, whatever. I'm outside enough. So this was just like the coolest medium, you know, whether it's this size or it's 100-pound pumpkin, which is still manageable. You still have this super cool canvas that's not flat, so you have to deal with that, right? So you have this radius. So it's constant thinking. I wouldn't say math, but up here it's math. You have to know what depths are. And you have to think about. There's a lot of crazy shit that you got to think about that is. I can't even verbalize it. But Mariana, you know, like it's stuff you don't think about. You just know.
Yeah.
Things have to be here. This has to be here. If I get to this point, blah, blah, blah. So once I started thinking in that realm, I'm like, holy shit, I'm a pumpkin carver. Oh my God, I'm a subtractive carver. Like, but I never thought about it in that sense until people started telling me I was good at it. Until then, it was a hobby. Like Matt said, Matt and I both are drummers. Matt's a drummer. I'm a drummer. So, and I think a lot of Mariana, I wouldn't even be shocked. Do you play a musical instrument?
No, I have other hobbies though.
Yes, you have. I'll bet you have a million other hobbies that you're actually better than most people.
I used to play guitar, but not anymore.
That means you're really. I'll bet you're better at guitar than I am now,
No.
and I've been learning through the entire pandemic. But it just goes to show you that, like creatives, right? That's what we are. We're creatives. Your brain, even if you're good at one thing, you don't want to just focus on that one thing. You want to find something else that inspires you. Right? And it's even if you're terrible at it, you're like, well, maybe I can get a little better at it. I even try to tell my kids that, and they're just like, well, I suck at this, I suck at that. And I'm like, Michael Jordan sucked at basketball at one point. Like, you don't have to be the best, just get okay at it. And then you'll be the person at a party that can be like, oh, is that a block of clay? Oh, let me just is that a guitar? Is that a drums?
What Mariana said was great. Was I think when you found that passion of sculpting and you didn't even think to do it, but next thing you know, you're spending 12 hours a day on it.
Exactly.
You won't know you're going to have that passion unless you try it, right? Exactly. So if you hadn't been exposed to it, you wouldn't have ever been able to say, "Oh my God, this is now where my life's going to go." So I mean, like, and that's. To Paul's point, it's like when you expose that stuff to your kids, you expose it to yourself, like all these different things like drumming or whatever we end up doing. The more you do, the next thing you know, oh my God, this is the path I was supposed to go on. Like, so it's just kind of like that reminder to stay kind of open and humble and like try new things. And I think creative people just tend to do that anyway. They get bored with little things they're already doing. So yeah, but I love that whole thought of just, I'm just going to try something else. And next thing you know, wait a minute, this is what I want to do. And even if it's totally, totally different.
No matter how old you are, or maybe in 10 years, I'm going to switch completely to something else. And
exactly.
You never know. Yep.
It's whatever's, it could be something that comes on television. You're like, what does that sound? Or what are they doing with their hands? Something's going to grab you and you're like, I got to learn it.
I want to do that.
No, I got to learn it.
But it's also following your inspiration. So like we've seen this a lot with our guests.
This all right. First of all, there's 50 of these that I've said that exact same thing to that she's done.
Yeah,
it's like Jesus. You know what? I have to stop myself sometimes from looking at your Instagram because honestly, it's depressing. That's how good you are. It's not just like the talent, but the crazy shit you come up with is awesome.
Creativity is
it's crazy, like banana outside the box ideas. Awesome.
Yeah. This is a take that I'm not sure I've seen anybody take on this. So like, how did you arrive at this inspiration for obviously something that people have been? We have a lot of guests on here who've done like Joker. Type of inspiration.
Amazing artist.
I've never seen this take on it. So tell us more about this.
Yeah, I mean, for all the sculptures, I usually they're inspired in something, and I love the character of the Joker. And I saw a drawing actually of a two faces melting, but it was a drawing, and I thought the idea came from that. I kind of wanted to show like the two personalities coming together, and that was the inspiration behind it, really.
That's brilliant.
Drawing.
But the beauty of it is it's the same character, it's the same person,
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, like, and the only difference besides, you know, it's face makeup that made him the Joker, and maybe slicked his hair back, but Jesus Christmas, you were able to split open the head, and it's still the same character inside, but you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, somebody else, you might be like, well, it's the same person, but you know it's the Joker inside. And it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I need you to step in with smarter words on these things, because I'm just
it's not only the idea, it's the execution.
Yeah.
Execution, yes.
That's it.
To be able to portray, just sell it. Selling it is the hardest part. The human eye doesn't believe shit. Right? You can find the flaw, right? Like in a sculpt or painting or anything, I can always find a flaw, and my eye is drawn to it. And a lot of stuff that all right, let's just say just about all of the stuff you do, I can't find flaw in it. And it drives me nuts. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mariana. It drives me nuts. Stop being so damn good.
I can point out all the flaws. Trust me.
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Please,
Matt and I can do the same.
This would be awesome.
Yeah.
This is
We could
ratings
throw
right
away
here.
everything we've ever done.
Please point out the flaws of this, please.
Yes, yeah. Do me a favor, please.
All right, hang on.
Well, you know what? You know what?
Wait.
One of the little spots on the on his vest. It's the light isn't hitting. Right.
Yeah.
That's the only flaw.
Like,
But
sure.
I'll stop
Matt,
you.
you saw it too, right? You saw it, yeah.
I immediately I got drawn right to that little spec. But I know we only have like 5 minutes left or so. So I want Mickey's got a ton of stuff that we've got. And
No,
I've
I've actually gone through it. So
Nice.
Oh,
yeah, we've
you
actually
got to, okay. Because now I'll challenge anybody who's watching to make sure you go to her website or Instagram at least, right? Because you
do it early though.
You could spend an hour just
Right.
kind of looking through there and just like, wait a minute, what? And there's so much content, so much stuff that you have on there. It's the one thing about social media is content, right? So one of the things we've been blessed with by doing the shows, we always have something new to put up there all the time. But it seems like your passions, like your work that you do for work, but also your passion for sculpting, just always has you creating and putting up more stuff. So definitely follow her, but check out and weave through all of her amazing sculptures, because it's mind-boggling.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Is there anywhere else that we can find your work, or is this the place to go?
No, that's Instagram is the place I actually post all of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the future, but in like a month, you'll be able to find some of her work in my living room.
So let's
I promise.
let's go. Matt, do you want to show what you've been working on? I mean, obviously we've been talking a lot.
That's
but-
Yeah.
Great.
I haven't gotten really far, but I'll show you what I did so far. So
Okay, here we go.
primate for me, your mind immediately goes to like a chimpanzee or an ape. So I wanted to go a little different and go like I'm thinking a baby or a young orangutan, like who's kind of excited and elated. So he's gonna have like, his mouth is already open, but I gotta work on his eyes and his fur around his head and stuff. So this won't all be here, but it's a start. Baby orangutan.
Oh, good.
Well, apparently I'll change my line of direction.
Oh, what?
No, I'm only kidding. I'm just messing with you. You know I am. Listen, I was so excited to talk to Mariana tonight. My plan was actually just block. I haven't even picked my primate yet. Once we got the subject, I'm blocking shapes right now because I was so interested in hearing the story of how she was able to do what she did that Matt, you fallen victim to this before we get so enthralled in what the guest says. And this is like a first for me where I'm so far behind because the entire time I was like this. What? Honestly, I've been waiting to talk to Mariana for probably a couple years now. So the fact that you were waiting to talk, you know, you were a fan of us is like, what? Like, honestly, I've been staring at your work for a couple of years now, just being like, how can someone go from this to this?
Wow.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was going to cut my fingers off and never sculpt again because I just figured I wasn't good enough.
Well, you're forgiven for not having the sculpt, you know, almost done, but make sure you come around the corner.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
That's all we ask.
I'm sure he'll do just fine.
Hey, listen, I have to make up for last week. Believe me, there was a lot of like the Da Vinci Code where I was whipping myself in the back. That guy, of how bad I thought last week's carve was. Okay, so I got to make up for it. And it wasn't my fault last week. All right, I blame produce. Produce is
always.
Produce.
Well, Mariana, again, we said we could have 5 shows with just previewing your work and everything you've done. It's really amazing. We've had a really great time talking with you. This is the fastest 90 minutes on the internet, and it's gone super fast. We are available here. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Please give us a like and a follow. Let us tell your friends, get them involved. This is a fun chat every week with carvers and like-minded artists. But yeah, Matt and Paul, did you have any last word before we sign off for this week?
Follow her.
Yes.
Follow her work. Go check her stuff out. She's amazing. Thank you for coming on.
Mariana, she's amazing. Unbelievably amazing. But I mean, God, crap. I gotta get ZBrush before I can even I can't even be in the conversation. I feel like that's it. I'm learning ZBrush. Mariana, you made me want to learn ZBrush.
Good. Easy.
And you're going to teach me, and I'm going to teach you how to carve a pumpkin. That was the deal. Everybody heard it. It's legally binding.
It's out loud.
Okay.
Yes.
You come to Boston, or I'll go to Vancouver. It's up to you. It's fine. It's the same weather. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
All right, so we will see you next Thursday with another Carvers and Creators, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, Mariana, for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week. Good night, everyone. Take care. Good night,
everybody.